Here's how to build this absolute monstrosity of an XP farm that will give you tons of levels in Minecraft Bedrock Edition. Now first of all, you can build this farm wherever you want and you don't need that much space to do so. However, we will need some armadillos for this farm and they spawn in badlands or savanna biomes. That means either build the farm in such a biome or transport the armadillos to your spot. But no worries, more on that later. So starting off, the first thing that you want to do is to dig down by 3 blocks. Very simple, and then you just want to place a sand block at the bottom of your hole. Now we want to place a cactus on top of that sand, but as you can see, you can't do this, and this is because there have to be no blocks next to it. That means you want to remove all these 4 blocks right next to the actual block where we want to place the cactus in, like this. And then the next thing will be to place a composter right above the cactus, and we now have a composter with cactus underneath. And that composter also is the spot where the armadillos will end up being later. But before we put them into their spot, what we need to do is to dig down 3 blocks in this spot right here, then place down an anvil and take a name tag, put it in the anvil and then rename it to whatever you want, maybe zombie or something like this, because now we actually need to get a zombie into this hole. This is because armadillos will curl up when there is an undead mob nearby. That will cause them to take less damage than usually and they won't die by the cactus. In order to get the zombie into this spot, what you want to do is to place 4 blocks right around the hole and then 2 in this spot as well. Then you want to place a trapdoor above and flick it once like this. Wait until it's night, lure a zombie to your farm, jump above the trapdoor, and as you can see, the zombie will drop right into the spot where it belongs. I just have to remove all the blocks again, including the trapdoor. Then you want to give a name tag to the zombie and you want to place a solid block above its head so it won't catch fire at day. Now as you can see, we skip to daylight again, and the next thing you want to do is to take some solid blocks, place 3 of them behind the composter, the side doesn't matter. Then you also want to place 2 more solid blocks on both sides of the composter, and now what we need to do is to get some armadillos into our composter. Now the amount of armadillos depends on you and also on how many your device can handle. The more armadillos you have in the composter, the more experience you will get per time, but if you'd ask me, 3 is the perfect amount of armadillos that you want to have. Now here's how you get them into the composter. First of all, you want to know where the next source of armadillos is. Either you have a stash nearby or you want to take them from a badlands or savanna biome. Then you want to build a railway track from the composter right to the next source of armadillos and then transport your armadillos by minecart to the composter. Now you want to make sure that the minecart is right at the end of the block, and then you can remove the minecart and the armadillo should drop right into the composter. It will take damage, but don't worry, it will curl up and will not die by the cactus. Now repeat this as often as you want, but as mentioned, 3 is the golden middle, and as you can see, I have 3 armadillos in the composter myself. Once you found the amount that fits your requirements best, then you can go ahead and remove the entire railway track again. Then the next thing that we need to do is to place down a fence in this location. Now take a water bucket and place it right above the composter like this. The water should flow 1 block but stop at the fence. Now we're gonna take a trapdoor, we're gonna position ourselves right above the water and place the trapdoor on top of the fence. So in the end, the trapdoor should open this way and not the other way around. Then the next thing will be to place another layer of solid blocks on top of the first layer, but also 2 more in these locations so you have a nice square shape. Actually, you could leave out these 2 blocks right here and replace the blocks below with some glass if you want to see what is going on inside of the farm. Then however, we will need to activate some little redstone action. And what we need to do is to go on top of the roof of the farm and then you want to place a comparator in this position right here. You want to click it once so it is in subtraction mode, and then you want to place a lever in this location and 3 redstone dust right around the comparator. Also 1 more redstone dust in this location, and this will give you a perfect redstone clock that will power the trapdoor continuously. Now flick it off for now and take out a trident, and what you want to do is to place another trapdoor on top of the first one, but this time opening into that direction. Then you want to take the trident and throw it right at the side of the trapdoor, and repeat this 2 more times for good measure. Now for the best efficiency, you want to have the same amount of tridents as you have armadillos, but if you are poor, you can also have less tridents than armadillos, but this might harm the performance of the farm. Anyways, what you need to do next is to remove the trapdoor. The tridents will drop down, and then you want to make sure not to collect them, not when building this farm and not when using this farm. Then you can test the entire system by flicking the lever right here, and this is what should happen. So this will create a trident killer for all the silverfish that will spawn in later. Now you might ask yourself, how do we get silverfish coming from this farm? The answer to this question is Splash Potion of Infestation. We're gonna use this Splash Potion on our armadillos, and this will spawn in a ton of silverfish. In order to brew these splash potions, these are all the items that you're gonna need. First of all, you want to place down the brewing stand, and you want to power it with some blaze powder. Then put in the 3 water bottles, and first off you want to take nether wart and apply it to your potion. That will result in some awkward potions, and we're gonna continue with some regular stone. You can get stone by smelting cobblestone in the furnace. Now as you can see, we got some potions of infestation, and we're gonna top it off with some gunpowder, turning everything into splash potions. As you can see, all of them are finished, and this will give us 9 total minutes of farm usage and tons over tons of experience. One time using this farm will already give you about 60 levels of experience, so you can about estimate how many times you can enchant with all this experience. But now, last of all, I want to show you how to use this farm. The first thing that you want to do is to activate the trident killer, very important, otherwise the farm will not work. But then what you need to do as the next step is to take a splash potion of infestation and throw it right against this spot right here, and this will apply the effect to the armadillos, and as you can see, a ton of silverfish will spawn in, and when killed they will drop experience which you can collect. Just make sure not to collect the tridents accidentally. Now sooner or later the effect will fade, and this is where you can throw in the next potion of infestation. Now you can repeat this as often as you want. As you can see, this will give you tons of experience. It is totally insane. And this with only 3 armadillos in the composter. Now with all the XP that we acquired, the first thing you probably want to do is to run to your enchantment table. But let me tell you, whenever you're not using this farm, you want to turn off the trident killer, of course, but also dig down at the side of the farm, and then you want to go ahead and remove the cactus. Otherwise, when the farm is unloaded, the armadillos might die, and you don't want to risk that, right? Simply collect the cactus, replace the blocks you broke, and maybe you can also place some letters so that you can easily access that spot later if you need to do this a second time. But this is about everything that is to say to this farm. If you like the video, please don't forget to subscribe. I appreciate all kinds of support, and you won't miss any further content when subscribed. That being said, have a great day, go outside, don't watch too much YouTube shorts, and then I hope we see us again in the next video. See ya!